And what I want to tell you about today is really how that whole system has failed, and that's resulted in what's going on board right now. And the failure of that system has only one direct effect, which is increase in loss of life. Yeah, you fail at that job, more people die, and it's that simple. So yeah, as far as our scenario goes, those guys on board are professional rescuers. They've been dealing with, about 50% of our team has dealt with already over 1,000 rescues. 1,000 people rescued, sorry. They've been dealing with 2 to 3 mass casualty events per year for the last 3 years. These guys are very skilled at this unique type of rescue, and they've been building frameworks on dealing with that, training programs. They're the best at what they do in the world, in my opinion. But to rescue, you need to locate, assess, stabilize, and transport these people to a place of safety. And that rest of the system, so the location and and transport, is completely failing us and causing loss of life, because without all of those steps, people are going to die. So these boats were found by binoculars from the bridge, which is like finding a needle in a haystack out there. All the location side, which is the responsibility of various states and operators in the area, has completely failed us. In addition, the teams did a great job. They had some really challenging rescues. They had one where part of the boat was actually destroyed during the rescue. People were in the water. They dealt with it very calmly, very professionally, and by the book, really. So great job there. But now they have to get these people to a place of safety, and that's completely fallen apart around them. And that is the obligation of the states involved. That is not the job of the people on board. If that system doesn't work as a whole, it's going to be a complete failure. So that's what we're watching now. That's the failure we're seeing here. And that is going to have a direct, and already has potentially, effect on numbers of people lost. Just to give you a sense of what's going on board as well, I mean, we have 63 wound dressings going on a couple of days ago. It's been 14 days since the first rescue, so you imagine these people are traumatized. They've been through exhausting experience. I tell you from experience, having done this for a long time. Doing 4 rescues in 4 days is no joke. This is an immense amount of people and very stressful. And then to be stuck on board, having to, with no end or hope in sight, is again just adding to that stress and tension. And nowhere else in the world are people expected to deal with these kind of conditions. So really, back to the beginning. Doing effective rescue is a system. It's not about individual ships. It's about how the whole thing works together. If you don't take responsibility for your obligations, and this time we're talking about the states that surround us, more people are going to die. And even if we have the luck to resolve this solution in the next few days, until we have an effective and speedy disembarkation solution that is not ad hoc, it's set up, we're just going to see more and more people die out there.
Thank you, Max. Can you give us a short summary of the situation on board at the moment?
My understanding is, due to the immense preparation that's gone on, sadly there's a lot of resilience in the team, and it shouldn't be there. That's why I almost feel bad talking about it. It's like these guys are doing an incredible job. They're keeping very calm. They have absolutely no certainty of where they're going to go. Normal food stocks are running out, so within 5 days we might have to come up with ad hoc solutions to feed people. Prevention to normal ship operating systems means that we also have restrictions as to the speed we can go because of fuel supplies. So it's a very tense situation. They've been through a lot. Like I say, one of these rescues was a critical rescue with people in the water, so they must be exhausted already. And I was on the Valencia trip, and that was only 6 days. We're talking 14 days now, so much more exhausting ordeal with far less visibility on where you're going. And when you're in that situation, you're exhausted, you're tired, you're vulnerable, and you're traumatized from a crushing or a shipwreck, which actually happened in this environment. You need clarity, you need certainty, and to deny people that is having an immense effect on board as far as tension goes. But at the same time, in the sea around them, we're being denied essentially access to operate in the SAR zone because we're being held up on the standby. So other people are dying. And those people on board must know that in a very personal way because they've seen it happen so many times. So it must be very frustrating, very exhausting, and I have big respect for the professionalism that I'm seeing and the resilience I'm seeing with the teams on board.
Gibt es Fragen? Are there questions to Mark Avis? Max Avis? Anyone? Das ist jetzt die Gelegenheit zur aktuellen Situation auf dem Boot. Näheres zu erfragen. Then, yeah.
Yeah, how are negotiations going on with the authorities?
The question is, how are negotiations with the authorities going on?
My understanding is that because there's an ad hoc solution to each of these events, there's a lot of discussion, and it's very hard to say when any kind of solution will be had. So, it could happen any time. It could happen in 2 weeks. Some of it. It's very hard to. That's the whole problem. Is there's a lack of predictability. This could be resolved in, one day. It could be resolved in 2 weeks, and that can't be happening. So. People are caring, but the solution is only going to be a good one when we have a standard approach to these kind of problems.
Other questions? Yeah, bitte.
Are you in contact with German politicians?
Certainly that's not my role, so my job is training, equipping, and managing the strategy of the SAR teams on. So that would be in the next few days about how these negotiations are going in greater detail.
Vielleicht können wir die Frage auf nachher verschieben und das können wir sicher hier beantworten auf dem Podium.
But certainly, like all major EU powers are being, dialogue has been opened with everybody. I mean, it's not a good situation. Do you know what I mean? With that many people stuck on a boat for 2 weeks, it's not something you just sit on your hands and wait. We're not in control, and it's not within our power to come up with a solution, but we're definitely trying our hardest against great odds to create an end to this deadlock. And even if it ends soon, we need a longer term solution. So everyone's doing the best to get this done as soon as possible, but this isn't within our area of responsibility anymore, and that's why there's so much frustration.
Herr Engelhardt.
Yes, Max. You said you're running out of food and supplies. How long exactly will that last? How will you get more food, more water, for example? How far are you offshore?
The exact location is on marine traffic. As far as food goes, MSF has said that we have 5 days of normal rations left. So that's just the standard, dietary intake that you're supposed to have, and it's been pre-packaged to deal with this kind of situation to some degree, even though the situation shouldn't be existing. So that's 5 days, after which we'll have to have an ad hoc solution. So that could be resupplies. I mean, I was on the ship when we went to Valencia. We're getting resupplies randomly from various Coast Guard units along the way to Valencia. But again, it's talking about food is kind of problematic to me, because the whole point is that it's ridiculous to be out there. Like, we shouldn't be having that many supplies in the first place, because we should have an effective place to disembark these people straight away. But there'll be a solution. I can't imagine they'll let a whole ship of people starve out there. But the fact that they need to be having those kind of discussions is disgusting, and also could result in death, right? So back to that point. Go ahead.
Eine andere Frage? Otherwise, I would have a last question, Max. How is the everyday life on the ship? How do people sleep? How is food organized? Can you perhaps say just a few sentences about that?